That is for you. Those are the revisions.
Okay, but I'm not in the audience.
That's what it used to say. And then the new one is in here.
Okay.
But that's just to point out what
This is
we
the old.
changed. Yes, that's the old.
She did this for me.
Oh, what the old and then what the new?
I wanted to see what the old was, because I couldn't remember.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so we know what we're talking about.
Right.
Compare it, comparing whatever. I need one of those 4-inch phone books.
shorter.
There's orange mints in there, or just stepping it up a notch, eh?
This could be a little
Snack pack. Snack, you said the packies.
Here, pass this down.
mechanism in there that but it was designed because these was older than this. Yes. So that's why. So we just need to trust.
Sir, we need to move more in the center here between us, so we have equal cooking footage. Just say it.
Pamela.
I don't want to be short-changed.
Give her some
I will
room,
just go
man.
like that. Go like that.
Deanna said the same thing. Our chairs are too long. Can't see them. As high as they go.
Just stretch. I told you, we need those 4-inch phone books that we all used to have. That would be plenty. There.
I don't think that's
Mine,
better.
they don't go up.
No,
That's it.
Mine's as high
As
as
high as they go.
yeah.
That's it.
as far as it goes.
I need a pillow.
I was just gonna say, do you want me to make everyone a pillow?
Hey, that would work.
Push us up a bit.
I need a pillow.
I thought of it when we
As I go.
did the budget and we bought new chairs, but I didn't.
Is yours actually at height with Jennifer's, or is it a little bit lower, that arm?
No, it's the same.
Okay, yeah.
I just put it down and all the way back up to see. This is it.
Because it looks like it's equal work. It's a part.
You could.
Except there's a bottle of water in there. It might be a little
Well,
messy.
better take that out. As long as it squirts that way, not this way.
No guarantees. No guarantees.
I'm already 70% water.
It's true. We are.
This one's not going to
No, better not. Better not. It was brutal. It was definitely brutal. I don't want to see that again ever.
No. Not if we know.
I'm too old for that. I'm at 5. I don't want to be 80.
Be my age.
She's getting up there.
Hey, you got 2 decades on me.
She jabs me every chance she gets. So I got to grab it. I don't
Gotta take your chance. Gotta take it when you get
I
them.
get very few. But when they open, boom.
Yeah. Almost 3 years on me. Wow.
I know, that's the kind of crap I have to deal with.
So same here.
See?
Wow, I didn't realize you were that old.
Stop.
So you should be a fountain of wisdom.
Yeah, should be.
Or a pile of shit.
Probably more than that.
Whichever one.
All right.
These glasses.
You ready?
Almost. Yeah, I think we are.
Relax slow.
A little bit.
1 minute.
All right, we will call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll do roll call.
Okay. Greg Carnes,
Here.
Jennifer Eden,
Here.
Sarah Dolman Jersey,
Here.
Herman Ferguson,
Here.
Dean Hawes,
Here.
Chris Rapetta,
Here.
Pam Moffler, here.
All right, thank you. All right, you'll notice we had to revise the agenda based on information we received Friday. And so I am looking for an approval of the agenda as it is presented.
Motion to approve.
I got a Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, approval of the consent agenda. Item number 1, the regular board minutes from April 15th. And then the clerks and warrants and bills from April 29th, 2025. Any questions or comments?
The only comment I have is, are we going to, I think we need at some point to talk about improvements to stating the comments from the public during public comment time, because they get paraphrased and they're oftentimes not paraphrased according to the whole message. I know that's subject to interpretation, but it's been there's been a number of issues over the past meetings.
All right, we talked about that. We're going to, I guess we're going to reduce some of the verbiage in, or?
Yes, so the public comment time at a board meeting is different than the public comment time at a hearing. So at the public hearing, the comment time is whether you are opposed to what we're discussing, the subject of that public hearing, or whether you're in support of it. So in moving forward, that will be the only thing listed is whether you supported it or if you were opposed to it.
Or undecided. I mean, there
Could be.
could be a point where.
Could be. And that.
So there'll
but
be
they-
those 3 options, and that's it.
And in terms of public comments at a regular board meeting, they are not transcripts. There are no quotation marks, and Chris, you mentioned that there's been issues that someone said this. It's just a brief summary. That is all it is. There were never quotation marks around anything. And so in moving forward, it will continue to be just a brief summary.
Well, I agree. And I just want to make sure that.
Actually, I
some of
take
this-
that back. It's not going to be a brief summary because we haven't been putting them in the board packets for the last couple of years, so we won't be doing that.
You mean for a regular?
For a regular
Regular,
board meeting.
yeah.
But for a public hearing, whether you're opposed or in support, that's it. And your name, because that's what's needed for the record.
And that will reduce any confusion. So again, I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, moving on to communications. Item number 1, the legal costs of Rapetta versus Tyrone Township, the court case.
Craig, if I may.
We need to do,
Number 2, clerks, warrants, and bills.
Oh,
Well, consent agenda.
it did,
We did the whole
yeah, we did
agenda.
that.
Includes
Yeah,
All right.
I did them together.
yeah.
Yep. And that's my next question. Do we want to do these 3 individually, or do we want to do it as a whole?
Well, you list them all and then
Then
You
we'll
list
just-
them all and then
yeah.
we approve or
Okay.
not.
The first item is legal costs of Rapetta versus Tyrone Township court case. Second item is planning commission approved meeting and public hearing minutes from April 8th. and then the Planning Commission meeting synopsis of April 16th, 2025.
So before anyone makes a motion, so we are not approving the communications. They're just that of communications. We are making a motion to receive and place on file. So we're not approving them. We've already got them. We're just formally moving to receive and place on file.
A public record.
Yes. Yep.
Mr. Supervisor, whenever you're ready for comments, I have a comment. Or a
I
couple
think
questions.
we're all set? Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
Under the legal costs, the first item under communication, the legal costs, the first one is Harris and Litterski, invoice date of 1/7/2025 in $816.75. Can you show me where that's related in the attached invoice to the, I see nothing in there that indicates ROPETA issues, and all of the dates in this invoice that are tagged were before there was even any engagement of Planning Commission, removing me from the Planning Commission. So that's my first question. I guess the question is, how do you attribute those legal costs to the ROPETA versus Tyrone Township court case?
Out of the whole group here.
Yeah, that one.
All of them.
And then there's another one, the second one, both of them from, actually all three of them from Foster Swift, do not have any reference to the court case or even my name. So those also are misrepresenting that fact that these costs would also relate to any legal action between what's stated for ROPETA versus Tyrone Township court case. There's no reference there. And then, of course, the last two, granted, the last one, I understand that might be related, but all of the items on the 1589, I'm not sure that all of those are in relationship either to of the cost from Harris and Litterski related specifically to the ROPETA versus Tyrone Township court case. So I just want to make sure that communication is not accepted unless it's.
I only see one thing that even vaguely would be that it's on 1/13/25, which is a draft of the malfeasance charge. But then again, that's still prior to him filing any suit for anything up to that girl, Luca Miller, PC. And again, that's the first I see of anything that even talks about supervisory, or what is it called?
So the purpose of this was ongoing, but if you would like, we can, it's highlighted in here what the charges are for each bill, they're dated. But if you would prefer, we can change the title to that and give a descriptive title to each charge. And keep that ongoing log, because I think that's where you're going, is that you're saying that
if we could do
these,
legal costs and then legal, also included legal
and
costs
that,
so
you
two
know,
separate.
what we would do is, for example, 12/30/24 from Foster Swift. Phone conference with Dean Haas for a FOIA request. Phone conference with Greg Carnes. We can certainly spell it all out.
But those are
if that's what you're
FOIA
wanting.
requests, those has nothing to do with Chris.
Well,
Right, well, that's what I'm saying, that we
That's
can
what I'm
do
saying.
that.
If we can split these legals so that it doesn't show all towards ROPETA,
Mm-hmm.
so we could split the first part up to, I believe, probably the April 15th bill here from Guerin, Luco, Miller, PC. That's the first I see where we're looking at superintendent control and talking about the actual case of Mr. ROPETA.
Well,
Anything prior to that, again, the only thing I saw is one date of 1/13 where the draft of the malfeasance charge. Again, that would have been prior to Mr. ROPETA filing any claim against us or any suit.
And so how would you
that's-
suggest this draft of malfeasance charge? The censures are included
Again,
there.
that was us taking, that's not, it has nothing to do with
Right, but I'm
Repetta's
asking you, how
lawsuit.
do you want that put in here?
Let's split it out to
you
just
know.
legal costs, township legal costs, and then legal costs associated with Chris Repetta lawsuit.
For this communications, maybe we should just
That's what I'm
put
saying.
legal cost of censors and
That's what I'm
Repetta
saying, split it up so that we
And then going
understand.
forward, we will only include the ones that
That
sound
actually,
makes sense?
yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was
Okay.
asking,
That-
yeah, to split them up so that they're separated.
Okay, well, that's
Because I
not,
understand they're all legal
okay.
costs.
What Jennifer just said, what
Legal
her
cost
suggestion.
of censors and Repetta versus Tyrone Township.
Is that what you're looking for?
I'm just looking for the right assessment of all of the attorney fees here pointed toward the right bucket. So my preference would be, sure, if you want to look at specifically those for Repetta versus Tyrone Township court case, make an accurate, not a misleading accounting of those specific bills or parts on a bill that would relate to that. If you want to break out censors, make an accurate list of all of those items on these bills that relate to the censure motions. If you want to then create others, then we should make a fair representation of all legal charges and not to misrepresent that all of these legal charges are against me versus Tyrone Township. That's the key, is to not misrepresent and send misinformation to the public or to the community or to any other board member or to our lawyers and attorneys that misrepresents what these charges are for.
Yeah.
That's the key. Full transparency.
And I kind of have a problem with some of the charges too, because I don't think we should pay an attorney to do interviews with Hannah Young from the Tri-County or interviews with WHMI. I don't believe we asked him to do that. I don't believe we should be paid for that. If he's doing interviews with them, he's doing it on his own time. And that's on page 3 of the Guerin Luco Miller PC. 318 of 25. Right here. Right here, yeah.
Oh, and the next one.
I don't believe we should be paying the attorney to do interviews. That's not what we do. Sorry. If he wants to make comments to the press, that's his business. I don't think it's right. I think it's a conflict of interest. And I also think it's unprofessional, but we're surely not going to pay for it.
Okay, is that typical or what? I mean,
Nothing's
you gotta help
terrible.
me here.
I can't say that it's typical because this is the first time that we've ever had a situation where the press has been interested in Tyrone Township.
All right, well,
I mean, we,
how much?
So just change the communication to read legal costs of censors and Repetta versus Tyrone Township court case for today's agenda.
That's not acceptable, just to leave it there. I would really like to see the detail, if we're going to be detailing charges out, group them together, point them out on those bills, and then give that
Okay,
level
we
of
put the bills
communication.
in here in their entirety. Every line item is included, so that's transparency, correct?
No, that's
So-
transparency, but how they line up with what, and what effort, whether
Right,
it's
so
the
that's why
report.
I'm saying to
Right.
include, most of them that they're highlighted are either because of the censors or because of your court case, right?
Well, I'm just asking for accuracy. I don't really use, in these terms, I'm looking less for, most of them are, and just list the specific ones and what they go for. It's much simpler than that.
Okay, so we'll take out the legal costs to date, that whole sheet.
Yeah.
We'll X that out, and we'll change the communications to say legal costs and censors, legal cost of censors and Repetta versus Tyrone Township court case, and just not include the totals.
Well, you've also got FOIAs, you also have FOIA charges that the township assumed the costs of and didn't pass those to the requester, right? And other things, so I'm just saying, do a full accounting. If you're gonna include the detailed bills, just give us all the categories of all these things and list them on a
Right,
page.
so going forward,
Yeah.
that will be done.
Okay.
So we're
How can
going
we
to-
correct this one then?
We're crossing out the
Okay.
legal costs to date
All
at
right.
19,866. We'll cross that page out, and in communications, under number 1, legal cost of censors and Repeta versus Tyrone Township court cases.
And other legal costs
Okay,
as well,
and-
because
Yeah.
I'm just
Okay.
trying to make sure there's a full accounting of everything that's presented in the legal cost areas, to not mislead people to think that that whole bill
Well,
from
they
somebody
can
is.
see
yeah.
that whole bill isn't highlighted
I'm trying to be
to the
transparent.
thing, right?
Well, and there's
Well,
another,
and we are
here's a-
transparent because we're putting the whole bill to it entirety.
Yeah.
Everybody can see every line item. There's no shading out, blacking out,
Right,
so.
but the public doesn't know how to divide up those things to what category. We do.
and here's another one, a correspondence from to reporter Hannah Young at Tri-County Times regarding issuance of favorable opinion. Again, we're not paying our attorney to make comments to the press. We're not doing it. This community should not be doing that. He shouldn't be doing that. I think it's unprofessional. If they want to comment, they can talk to a township supervisor.
All right,
Or somebody within the.
I'll talk with Chuck about that.
Yeah. Again, I just
Chuck
like
and I
that
will
overview.
discuss it.
Are those?
All right, so
things-
legal costs of censures. And what else did you
And
want?
Repeta versus Tyrone Township
Let's change.
and other.
Can we
legal
change cost to bills, legal bills? Because the costs aren't even correct. Let's do legal bills for township business and Repeta, township versus Repeta lawsuit. These are just the bills, not the cost, because we don't know what the costs are. These are the bills, these are the totals, they can go through them and figure out how much, again, you said, if they've got it, they can figure out how much we spent on each of them if they want to. If we're not gonna
Is
do
that okay
it.
with you, Pam? So legal bill,
Legal costs of censures and Repeta versus Tyrone Township court case and other,
I would like the,
legal-
I'd like
legal-
cost change to
other
bills.
legal,
I'd like the cost
And
change to
other-
bills.
legal bills.
legal.
So because we X that cost out, just put legal bill.
Like that.
Yeah,
Or
that-
invoices, whatever.
Invoices, whatever you want,
Invoices,
yeah.
yeah, that
Invoices.
sounds better.
Because
That
that's what
sounds
they
better.
are.
Let's do that, illegal invoices.
That's
yeah.
what they are.
Legal.
That's
Yep.
what they are.
Okay,
All right,
Okay,
Legal
let's read it again before we move forward, because I have 4 different changes here now.
okay,
Okay.
legal invoices
Legal
for
invoices,
censors. Repeta versus Tyrone Township court case and other legal costs.
okay.
Okay, and planning commission, 2 and 3 stay the
Wow.
same.
Okay, but I think we need more discussion in terms of how we're doing this, moving forward when I get these invoices. And it appears as though people would like it split up, and so we can do that. We'll split it up. This was to maintain an ongoing cost in transparency to the public of what we've been paying. And so what you brought
For that
up, Chris,
court
is good, and we will detail it out. We certainly wouldn't want anyone to think that we weren't being transparent with this, but that's, once again, why the bills are in there with the highlights.
Yeah, and I just don't want to necessarily call out 1 or 2 things like a censure or my specific court case or court cases, and not call out all the legal bills. Out of fairness, we should be calling
Certainly.
everything out.
Certainly.
That's the key. Because otherwise it looks like then you're just picking on me, right? More. So we don't want that.
No, I disagree. If you look at the Foster and Swift one, Greg's name is right there, twice.
Let's
Yeah.
move on.
Yep.
Are we good?
yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, you're good with one?
The way it's
Yeah.
stated now, I'm good with
I'm-
that.
I'm-
Okay.
Okay, number 2,
So we have to.
I make a
I'll-
motion to receive and place on file the communications as modified.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. All right, we will move right into public remarks. Again, it's agenda items only. And again, we are going to adhere to the 3-minute rule. So, Brad?
May I?
You want to be the first?
I'd love to.
Lucky you.
How are you, Greg? Hi, my name is Brad Swartz. I live on Linden Road in Tyrone Township. In regard to these legal bills and further retaining the same attorney that you had before, I just want to go through a couple of things regarding the bill, actually, that has already come, because what has come before will come again. We got a text with Greg, we've got a text with Pam, we got a text with Sarah, we've got a text with Herman, we got a Pam, Jennifer, Sarah, Herman, Pam, Jennifer, Sarah, Herman. That's 4 out of 7 of you. So I guess if it wasn't in a group message, that doesn't matter about the Open Meetings Act. I'm not sure, I'm not an attorney, but that sure does seem like you guys talking about what started this whole thing to begin with. That's my one point. My second point is, in regard to hiring him again, I didn't hear any legal evidence of what, where was the illegality in what Chris, Dean, and Greg did. So if someone, yeah, I'm curious. In the township, right, if the township's job is to grade my road and they do a bad job, pardon me?
I'm very short of patience. Stop it.
You called me out.
Stop it.
You called me out for laughing while they laughed?
Stop it. All of you.
I'm no stand-up comedian, trust me, I hate being up here. Anyway, if the township's job is to grade my road and they come and they do a poor job, or if the township's job is to contract officers to keep my house safe and they don't do that, yet I still pay taxes, I think that I should be able to get up here and say that the township now has hired an attorney to defend itself against Chris Rapetta. I don't think that he did a very good job at all. So, that's not you, that's the other fella, Galuli. So that is an agenda item, and I just want to say that I'm not entirely sure, I'm no lawyer myself, but in my humble opinion, I do not think that he did a very good job, and that may be because it's impossible to do a good job, which in this case I think that it is, because there's no case here. That's all. Thank you. Thank you for hearing me. Oopsies.
Anybody else? Sure.
Hi, Lisa Davenport, live on Roan Road. And I beg to differ. I think the attorney did do a good job. This attorney represents the entire board, so he cannot have represent any one person. And unfortunately, I'm going to address this. Mr. Rapetta, it's time to put personal feelings aside and work together for the residents of Tyrone Township. Now, this was based on before it was revised. So far, your actions have cost the taxpayers around $20,000. Now, I find that, now we're going to break it out. This money could be spent on our roads or anything benefiting our township. The township staff has spent hours on responses to your lawsuits, so it's not just...
Will you close that? Thank you, Don.
You can't close the door.
I can't hear. They have to leave the hall then, because I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Carry on.
The township staff has spent hours on responses to your lawsuits, so it's not just the $20,000 spent on the lawsuit, but the countless hours away from their regular duties. So if we're going to break things out, I think each of the people need to break out their time spent on the lawsuit. I urge you not to continue your lawsuit against the township. This is not a personal vendetta against you, but a learning experience to follow the laws and rules put in place for elected officials. Elected officials are held to a higher standard and must demonstrate the knowledge and ability to work together. There is no place to criticize and demean the work of others. It's more constructive to work as a team. Unfortunately, the current political climate seems most disruptive. In past meetings, I have heard the words recall. In my opinion, that would be a waste of taxpayers' money, as it would be costly. If you feel you are unable or unwilling to become part of the team and work constructively to make Tyrone Township a better place to live, I suggest you resign. I hope it does not come to that, as I believe you have good intentions and have ideas to make our township a great place to live. Thank you.
Yeah, Jim?
Jim Combs. Pick up right where I left off at the last meeting. I quoted the attorney here from January 7th, the meeting, when this censure resolution was brought up. You asked him to underline the laws that were violated. That was your words. He said, I don't have enough facts to say any laws have been violated, and it would take 4 people to violate the Open Meetings Act. That's what he said. So he stood up at the end of the meeting and said, I said I didn't have enough facts. I said, right.
Hey,
so
Jim?
what? Yes.
How is this part of the agenda?
Because it has to do with attorneys. Let me get to my point. If you want to waste my money on attorneys, I'm showing you it's faulty legal advice. If he's answering your questions, you're paying him. I'm speaking in terms of the attorney. Does that not fall under the agenda? Legal costs?
It's for John.
Legal costs
It's not
of
for
Chris
Chuck.
Rapetta?
It was for Chuck also. Chuck's costs are in there.
Yes, he drafted the resolution. And you're using up my 3 minutes, so
All right.
I think it pertains to the legal costs of Chris Rapetta. You gonna give me another 30
Yep.
seconds, sir?
Go ahead.
So anyway, he said he didn't have enough facts on January 7th. So I want you guys to ask him tonight, what facts did you use when you drafted the resolution that cost us all $500, $495? What facts were those? What's that resolution based on? And in the resolution, and then I'd like to know, I'd like you guys to ask him, do you have new facts now? Because that's what Chris has been begging for. Brad just pointed it out. I don't think a lot of people are understanding. There has been no laws. He hasn't quoted you a law. This other attorney, the guy got up here, I don't know why you let him do this. He got up here and gave us a sermon on Facebook back here, never faced you guys, and at the end turned around you and said, I'm sorry, I turned my back to you the whole time. That was a complete clown show, complete theater. He never presented a case. And then the only thing he said was, I don't want to have to litigate this. I wonder why. Because like Brad said, there's no case here. And in the censure resolution, this is wording from the resolution. This document was generated without consulting the rest of the board, right? Speaking of your letter, between 3 people. So, was this censure resolution a document? Is that considered a document? Of course it is, because we paid him $495 to draft it. When did that come up at an open meeting? Before January 7th. When was that? Did he give the rest of you legal advice saying, hey, you are doing right now what you're accusing those guys of? That would have been good legal advice. And I'm not even an attorney. So I want you guys to ask him those things. I want some answers because my tax dollars are being wasted. And when was that resolution? What was the date it was presented to the board before he got paid to draft it? Isn't that the whole argument here with the Open Meetings Act? So I want to know, does he still say 4 people it takes? Does he still say he doesn't have enough facts? Does he have an actual law or an ethic or a bylaw that was violated? Because to this day, he has not pointed out one. It's all been opinion. So I want somebody to ask him. I can't do it. I'd corner you, bro, if I was up there. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, Scott?
You can make your comment to me anytime you want, I don't care.
Hey.
I'll be the comment me on the way back, so I will talk to him afterwards.
All right.
So, when I get confronted, I'll take care of myself. You can yell at me all you want. In regards to Mr. Haas's comment about our attorney represents the people. He's here, we're getting paid to answer for the people. What do you think we pay him for? He works for the people. You think he works for you? He works
I'm
for
not
you
sure
and
what
the
you're
people.
talking about,
You're
Scott.
talking about him not getting paid for answering for the press. There's people out here who don't come to the meeting. She comes up here and asks him a question, he's getting paid, he's getting time. I got no problem paying him. You'd want to know what he wants to say. No, you don't, because you know why? You're the one that screwed us. All this damn money is from 3 of you. You can, all the names are up there. They're all up there. Nobody, everybody, you guys keep mumbling. Why don't you tell them to shut up?
Come on, let's get this right.
All right. But you know, see?
I am
See?
not the
See?
patient person tonight. Stop it.
So,
All of you.
so anyways, here we go. Where did this all come from? Where did it all start? I heard you blame somebody that was completely out the other day. The money is being spent from the 3 of you. He's pursuing it further. And furthermore, you guys keep supporting it. And don't tell me you aren't, Greg, because that's your campaign manager. Came in here, he blasts his mouth out, he runs out the door, and he's in full support saying Chris didn't violate anything, and he's speaking for you because he's your campaign manager. I know he's a citizen too, but he's your campaign manager. So you guys can't separate yourselves. Keep trying, you're not. We all know. It's out there. But for this man, everybody keeps attacking. I'm sorry, if he does something wrong, that's fine. But you know what? He's there representing the people. And that press lady comes up and asks him, just like he can ask him questions. You ask him all day long, don't you? You can get on the phone and talk to him. Yeah, that's funny because your name was up there.
No, it's not.
It wasn't?
No.
Oh, fine. You can.
I've never talked to that
But you're
man.
allowed to.
Hey,
But that's fine. I want him to answer because it's the truth. He can call him. So we don't get to talk to him. I can talk to him when I come here, but there's people out in the street don't hear from him. And he's not going to say something that's going to obligate this township. He's going to speak very carefully. He's going to, because he's working for us. And no, he should be paid when he's here. And anybody's, your lawyer too, he should be getting paid. I'm not going to question that. I don't know who's going to pay him, we'll see. But no, you shouldn't be attacking our attorney because you think he shouldn't talk to the press. The press is here for the citizens.
Hi, Mike Amberg from 11400 Foley Road. Just got some questions. I guess with regards to the agenda, is it possible to get the amount of legal fees that are being considered published on the agenda along with the running tally so we can understand what's being spent for what, so that it eliminates some of the repetitiveness in saying them like it did last meeting, as well as misinformation that may be getting out there? I think that would be helpful in bringing everybody to understanding the situation. The other question I also have is, has there been an attempt to reach some kind of a settlement? I understand we're going to court, we've got lawyers. Obviously, this is reached a level that's personal. And once you get it as a personal situation, it makes it difficult for both parties to step away from the edge. But obviously, going to court doesn't really serve anybody. Everybody was elected to serve the people of the township, and it would be very helpful and I think put our township in a better light if we could reach some kind of a settlement here in such a way. And it may be in a position that nobody's happy with the results. Sometimes that's the situation you get, but as long as it's for the greater good of the people, I think that would be helpful. The other question I have, and it's the last one here, what's the risk as we go forward? Regarding legal fees, Mr. Repetta wins. Are we responsible for his legal fees? If the township wins, is he responsible for the township legal fees? Sometimes that too is a, shall we say, a nudge to getting some kind of a settlement put in place. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Jeanette Ropetta, Tyrone Township resident. So, as you can see by your headline, this agenda has been revised in consideration of the complaint Chris Ropetta versus Tyrone Township, filed on May 2nd. Is that the only changes you made to the agenda? I know the answer to that. No, you made other changes. So you just lied to the public. And as demonstrated by someone who got up here and said about the fees or the costs that have been attributed to Chris, your effort to put that out there has been achieved, because that's what everybody read. You knew exactly what you were doing when you said that was your headline, Ropetta versus Tyrone Township. You knew it, and now everybody thinks that that full $20,000 is for his costs, and that's wrong. But you put it out there. I also want to say that I am not happy with the comment section. I know what you said you're going to do going forward. It's about time that you just say a yay, nay, or undecided for public hearing. I asked you twice in emails to change my comment, and what you ended up with, you even used a word that I never used. I never once said the word opposed, and I want those meeting minutes amended, and I want my comment taken out. So figure out how you're going to do it. You guys have done this time and time again, Planning Commission, board, over and over again. And it's not just public comments, it's things that you put in the agenda, in the meeting minutes that are absolutely wrong, that I've called you out on, and you say thank you for your comment, and you never deal with it. So this one, I'm standing my ground, get it removed, because I will figure out what to do to get it removed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tim Broad, Linden Road. I want each of you to know that I voted for every one of you. And everybody's a little upset with what Jim has been saying. I know he comes across a little rough, but you know what? He's asking a legitimate question. Ask this man what has been done wrong. Ask him. You people represent us. And there's only two people that are looking at me. Those two. You people don't care.
Anybody else?
Gordon Tomaszewski, Orchard Parkway. I just have one question, and I know Chris brought up, and the problem I've had, it just doesn't pertain to what he's addressing, but the township's accounting system as a whole. I used to buy and sell homes, flip them, my own rental properties, and I'm not a really computer savvy person, but there are computer programs that will do a much better job of allowing you to itemize and show specifically what the expenses and, what your income and what your expenses are. And for people to be able to go on the website and just quickly look and be able to see where the money's being spent and what on. Because I know I've inquired about the old township hall, the money that was budgeted towards that. And you look at it and there's just one item, it's lumped in, and it doesn't specifically state that it's for the old township hall. You could categorize that old township hall by itself, just like these other items, and it doesn't take a lot of time to input them in the computer. And then people could be informed. They could go on the township website, they could go in and look at the budget, they could look and see what the expenses are, and they're broken down by line item. Instead, it's just a cluster. So I would highly suggest, I don't know what you're using for software, but I know there's a lot better software out there that you could have that would really clear things up. And then that way, it would probably turn around and make people a little bit more informed as to what's happening with our money. So, just a suggestion.
Is that it? All right. We'll close public remarks and we'll move into unfinished business. Last meeting, we talked about some revisions to the code of conduct. We had Pam do the old version, because in the packet is the new version, and I wanted to make sure everyone was clear. She highlighted the items that we changed or revised, I should say, to help in
There's really not that many, Greg. Can we just go ahead, Pam, do you mind going over and we just highlight? You have to highlight, we'll just read what was changed so that the residents know just what was
No
changed.
worries. So for the public meeting decorum, the new one says all persons attending. Previous version said persons in the audience. So that was done for 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. That way, that includes everyone. So that was the point of that. The other changes were on the recording and telecasting of meetings. Our previous version said, attendees who desire to record or telecast any public township meeting is permitted to do so, as long as recording is done from designated ... We changed that to attendees who desire to record or telecast any public township meeting are permitted to do so as long as the attendee remains seated. 3B previously was no cables, microphones, cameras, tripods, cell phones, etc. That was changed to any person wishing to stand and record may do so at the back wall so as not to impede the flow of traffic, block exits, or the view of attendees. C and D remain the same, and that's all the changes, the revisions that we had.
There was one other tiny one that was public meeting decorum 1C. We removed the language regarding cell phone use. Formerly, it said persons in the audience will silence and refrain from using mobile phones. And it looks like it was changed to will silence mobile phones instead of and refrain from using.
Thank you.
That's just not something we can monitor and enforce.
Right. It's correct in our revisions, I just didn't highlight it on the page here.
Yep. All right.
Does everybody understand what the code of conduct is for public meetings? Does anybody have any questions on why we have it? No questions?
Good.
Okay, good.
All right.
So I'll make a motion
Thank you.
to approve the code of conduct for the public township meetings.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're doing a roll call.
I was gonna say, I thought we had to do a roll call.
Jennifer Eden,
Yes.
Herm Ferguson,
Yes.
Greg Carnes,
Yes.
Chris Repetta,
Yes.
Sarah Dolman Jersey,
Yes.
Dean Hawes,
Yes.
Pam Offler, yes.
Yeah.
Do you want
Yeah.
to talk about ordinance number
Yeah,
51?
You want to do it, Jen?
Jennifer.
You can do it, Jen.
Wanted to mention, just make sure they're aware of that.
Okay, so
Everybody's
along with
aware
our
of
code of conduct for the public township meetings, that includes all persons attending, there is a ordinance number 51, which is prohibiting disorderly conduct. If anybody on the board or in the audience doesn't know what that is, please look it up. It is in regards to the code of conduct, if nobody is following that, if anyone is not following that. The ordinance 51 gives us roles and responsibilities of what we can do as a board. We set these in motion a while ago for the conduct of the board members and the audience. This is, a board meeting is to conduct board business. We cannot have the yelling back and forth, the misuse of language, the ridicule, whatever that's going on at this board meeting, or board meetings, I should say. So this, just so everybody knows, going forward, I believe the clerk is going to try to have a few copies of both of these back at the back table, so if you come to a meeting and you don't understand these, please take a copy and read them through. I believe that Mr. Supervisor is going to uphold these.
We're just asking you to be respectful.
Yes, right. And if
not
you're
be
not, then
disruptive.
we're going to take action, just so you know.
That's all.
If you have any questions, you can come to the office and ask us that. That's it. Just wanted to bring them to someone's attention.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Respectful, and don't be disruptive. There's business to be conducted.
And no clerks.
All right. Moving on to, are we all set with unfinished business?
Yep.
All right, let's move on to new business. And the sheriff contract.
It's for the next 3 years.
Yeah, this has to be approved every 3 years. It's a 3-year contract, and it has to be approved in order for us to have our special deputy that takes care of the township, I guess, or provides specific support, because we are in the far northeast corner of the county, and it's a ways away from the their headquarters in Howell. I don't know how long we've been doing this, quite a while.
Years.
I mean, I cannot remember not having it. So anyway, and it's looked like it's a modest increase. So I'm going to ask for a motion to support.
I just got a question there.
Yeah,
Sure.
questions too.
You know, I mean, I understand we're in the far corners of Livingston County, but aren't we still Livingston County? So why are we paying extra to pay for an officer to be in the county in which they're in, and they're paid to support? I guess I'm just having a little problem with that. It's not like we're asking them to go out of their jurisdiction, or if I work for Consumers Energy. I mean, I work out of Hull, and I have jobs in Davisburg, we don't ask extra to go over there and support Davisburg because they're far away from us. Or I don't get paid extra to go to Ann Arbor or Chelsea to do a gas service for a Consumers Energy, customer. Why are we paying extra to have Livingston County Sheriff cover an area which is part of their jurisdiction?
I believe we're paying for a designated
Well, it's
officer or officers.
a specific deputy for our area.
Why don't
A
they
full
have a
8
deputy?
hours.
Why
Let me
don't they have
finish.
a
A
deputy?
full 8 hours.
I read it, Greg, I know what it
7
says.
days.
Why are we paying, why don't they have a deputy assigned to this area as part of their budget?
Because they have to cover all of Livingston County.
Well,
Consumers Energy has to cover all of their areas.
Right.
We break it down into areas, we have crews that cover those areas. Why are we paying, why are these residents paying extra money to have an officer in an area which they're supposed to be covering anyway? It's part of their jurisdiction.
I think there are other communities in Livingston County that have their own police departments.
That is
Correct. In addition
is
to the
correct.
Livingston County Sheriff's coverage, we do not, and that's the difference. To me,
It's still their
Yeah.
jurisdiction, it's their area.
it is, but we don't have our own department.
We shouldn't have
It's
to.
different coverage.
We're in Livingston County. They should cover it. The state police cover the whole state. They don't charge extra to go to areas that are out, unless they're leaving the state. I guess I'm asking the question. Why do we feel that we should be doing this?
Well, I wish you would have asked it on Thursday or Friday or when you first got this packet, and then maybe I could have talked with Michael Murphy and find out and get you an answer. Unfortunately, you wait till right now.
You know why, Greg? Because I don't trust a damn person in this township, and I only ask questions when I'm out here in the public and it's on record.
Well, now, because of this, it's going to drag out to another meeting.
So now we're gonna be upset because we gotta drag this up in a meeting
Yeah.
to make sure the residents of this community are getting what they deserve. Is that what I'm understanding? That we're making sure to do the right thing for the community.
I got to get with Michael Murphy and find out why.
Again, why is that an issue?
The only reason-
Isn't that what we're here for?
It's not. It's not. I'm going to get a hold of Michael Murphy and find out. My guess is that he doesn't have an officer or a deputy for every township.
Then my suggestion and my thing would be, maybe what we need to talk to them about is them increasing their staff so they do. And if they need to raise taxes or do whatever to do so, then that's what we should do. But we should not, as a township, I don't believe, pay for an officer to be here.
I don't think a county sheriff provides full-time coverage for every township and community in their jurisdiction. Some of them have their own departments that do that. We don't.
Brighton has one, Howell has, I don't think Howell, Howell I think does have police officers.
I don't think our
Those are big
taxpayers would
cities.
want to pay for one.
Green Oak, they have their
Green
own.
Oaks is huge. And by the way, they're down in Livingston County, very close.
Right.
Yeah. Again, they have their own police, which should free up officers to go other areas that don't have their own police departments. I'm sorry if I'm throwing a wrench in the situation here, but,
Well,
I mean,
look at it this way, if you think Livingston County should, be in Tyrone Township 24/7, what about those municipalities who do have their own police? Isn't that playing favoritisms if they dedicate an officer to our area 24/7, but yet their residents have to pay for their police department and their police staff and their police automobiles? Wouldn't that be unfair to ask Livingston County to do that just
No.
for Tyrone Township?
Livingston
Yes,
County should do it
is.
for all areas.
No, but the ones who pay theirs
Livingston
and have
County
their
should
own.
do it for all areas, whether they have a police force or not. That's
Like I
their
say-
job, to cover Livingston County.
It
The
is-
county, the whole county.
It is, Dean, but I don't think it's, if we don't have a
This is
police
for
department,
designated.
we don't have a dedicated
Right.
officer here. And we all know the number of accidents and emergencies and calls that we have from that report that's in the packet every month. And the wait times would be long for our residents if we had nothing. And I think instead of raising taxes and having a dedicated department here, which I don't think our
I never said
taxpayers
that.
would want.
I never said that.
I think this was the middle ground to make sure our residents are taken care
You know
of
the
in a
problem I have with that,
timely
sir?
fashion.
You know the problem I have with that?
I would love to
The last
know.
5 times, the people I've known that called for an officer has got a state cop. Not a Livingston County Sheriff.
Well, that I
So
don't
we
know
get
that
great
data,
support
so.
from the state police. And it's been very quick and very efficient.
Well, I know they have set
That includes
hours.
myself, by the way, who had to call. And
I know
got a
they have
state
set
cop. I called
hours.
for Livingston County Sheriff and they deferred it to the state police.
From what, 2 to 10 typically? And then outside those hours, it is gonna be the state police that respond because we don't pay an officer 24/7.
It was in the evening,
I'm just.
because I work during the day.
So I think this did change years ago, because we wanted, the township residents requested, more presidents, for an officer. And this was one way of assuring that we would have somebody near at all times, for call times, for accidents, for, you know, disputes or anything to get somebody there. It does say in this statement, police protection means investigation and follow-up complaints, criminal investigations, and work normally associated with law enforcement. It also includes our enforcement of our township ordinances. You're not going to get just a Livingston County officer to do that if we don't have some kind of agreement with them.
Well, Jen, and I'll say it up front, part of the reason I'm objecting to this is because I remember a few years back when it was put on a ballot and voted on and was voted down.
That's right, and then we had no police and we had no fire, and then when you
And
guys had
Mike
police,
decided to do it anyways.
911, no, it was voted down, we didn't have it, and then when everybody called 911 and ambulance services or police, it took darn near an hour to get somebody there. And then the residents said, oh, that's why we had to pay for police and fire. This is part of that. Asking each person to pay $150 on their winter tax bill so we can have an officer for 8 hours a day and adequate fire coverage is not asking too much. I mean, to sit up here and argue that you don't want to pay an officer for 8 hours or 10 hours, that, I don't know. I think we're barking up the wrong tree.
Yep, we're both entitled to opinions.
Yes, yep, and if you had questions before on the board packet, you are to contact us before the meetings and ask questions so we can get
You
those
guys aren't here
answers
the
for you.
hours I'm available, I'm
I am
sorry.
here, and you can reach me by phone all the time.
Yeah,
Let's-
I work Monday through Friday.
Let's, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, and I'm gonna say that I will entertain a motion to approve or disapprove this law enforcement contract with Livingston County.
So moved.
Support?
Make sure the motion's either to approve or not approve, because the
Right,
question is posed.
I-
So make a motion one way or the other.
I'll make a motion to approve the Livingston County Sheriff Law Enforcement Contract through the year 3/31/28.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No,
No.
Motion carries.
We will still get his answers to Greg.
And I will still get your answers, yes.
Greg, Sarah didn't hear
Did you
you.
vote? I didn't hear.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I voted yes.
It's hard to hear down here sometimes.
All right, item number 2, bricks and installation of walkway for the historic town hall.
Mind the board that we budgeted.
We budgeted what, $30,000?
Yep.
So far, the Historical Society has done everything out of their own budget, is that correct?
For this fiscal year, we paid for the ramp because there was pressing timeline on that because of aluminum costs going up. And so it was ahead of the township's fiscal year, which started April 1st, and we had to get that order in. So the Historical Society paid that bill. And now we're just,
How much was that bill, do you recall?
it's about $12,000.
And then were you also, I remember there was some signage you were looking for, were you?
I mean, there are a number of things remaining yet this spring,
Okay,
but
so you
these are
still
the
have that
first
pending.
invoices that have come forward.
All right, well then let's focus on the pavers. The township isn't purchasing the pavers, those were purchased by donations, I guess you would call them, or?
Yes, but we had to spend that money, we had to spend our budget on the ramp
Okay,
in order to get it ordered before the price went up by about $6,000.
no, what I'm saying is, the township isn't actually purchasing the paver bricks.
The money goes into one account, Greg, on that project for the townhouse. Through the Historical Society I'm speaking from.
So they got
So-
funds for the bricks and papers.
Yes, if we have to take the funds that came in for the project to pay for a
Okay.
ramp, then the next invoice that comes in has to come to the
Okay.
township, if that makes sense.
Yep, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the bricks installation of the walkway for Historical Town Hall.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Item number 3. Request for Attorney John Galuli of Guerin Lucal Miller to represent the township in the complaint for order of superintending control in the case of Chris Rapetta versus Tyrone Township. Was Mr. Galuli able to give us a possible estimate, or? No?
We haven't retained him yet, so we
Okay.
can ask if anything.
I guess, all right. I'm just like wondering how much this is gonna be.
We don't know, we have to
All
retain
right.
them first.
All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion, I guess, to retain John Galuli for representing the township in a lawsuit, order of superintendent control, Chris Rapetta versus Tyrone Township.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No.
Motion carries. Okay, miscellaneous business?
Sure.
Just a couple things. With regard to public comments in general, I want to bring up the fact that we need to be and how we conduct ourselves as a board is following Robert's Rules of Order.
We don't
And
follow
that,
them.
pardon me?
We don't follow that. We've never accepted that.
Well, there's a lot of things you point out that you say you have accepted, but you have no documentation that you've accepted it either. But in general principles of Robert's Rules of Order, help to add some decorum and some lessens the chaos as far as, and so I would urge us to add this to a meeting to discuss formally adopting Robert's Rules of Order so that we can better control the board and responses to the audience and the public, as well as helping the public understand that what we're committed to. So I'd love to see that on a future agenda soon. I also wanted to ask you about, Greg, Hogan Road. I've asked for the truck routes 38B, ordinance 38B to be on the agenda. Where are we with that? You were checking in with the guy at the county. Do we have an update for our, you told us to bring Hogan Road up at this point during these meetings.
I have some things in the motion.
Okay.
And at this point, I am not really in a position to fully disclose exactly where I'm going with it.
Can we meet next week and talk about that?
We sure can.
Okay, thank you.
We sure can.
And I also had made previous attempts to get the discussion about data centers onto the agenda for us as a board to talk about the issues with data centers. We have a mega site going in up in Tyrone Township, just north of us, and that's going to put huge taxation on water infrastructure, water table, everything. And data centers are another thing, especially with the advent of artificial intelligence. Data center growth across the United States is increasing exponentially, and we should be talking about that. So I'd like to reintroduce that since I was not able to get that on the agenda previously. And the final one is regarding the solar ordinances and the renewable energy ordinances. So about a month and a half ago, I did talk to Livingston County Health Department, and they don't seem to have as much of a passion to want to help as St. Clair County does with Dr. Nevin. They were able to pass in St. Clair County Health Department regulations that regulate the renewable energy companies that are applying and installing into their county. And so I'm going to, just letting you guys know that I'm going to continue to press. I will meet within the next week with Matt down at the Livingston County Public Health Department to see if he would reconsider raising the urgency from a public health perspective, addressing renewable energy installations in our area. That's all I have.
Okay. All set? All set?
That's all I have.
Yep, okay. Anything down here? No? Okay. Then I guess we'll close miscellaneous business, move right into the final public remarks. Yes, Scott?
Scott Dietrich, White Lake Road. Dean, thank you for letting us know that you're coming to the meetings unprepared. And don't read your agenda. I can.
Be respectful.
I am.
Please.
I thanked him. He told us he didn't want to call the office because he doesn't trust anybody. That's sad. And it's happened before with Chris too. You guys just refuse to be prepared when you're. Chris, you are pretty good at it, but you kind of miss it a little bit. Hey, I can make comments to my elected officials. You're going to keep interrupting me? It's my time. Okay.
I want you to be
All right. In the regards to our fire and police protection that the people voted for, thank you. You voted against your taxpayers once again. You both voted no. You both voted no. We voted to have that. Chris wants us to pay for the police runs on 23, and then you guys don't want us to pay for another police officer. You know, that was a pretty good long process. You weren't here. Maybe you should go research, since you're so good at research, about how we came to be. Because we were put in the fire authority, we voted, people wanted out of it. We didn't want to be in it. We voted out of it. And the board at that time threw us back in against our vote. Threw us back in against the people. Think about that. And we fought, and we dug and burned, and we got this, what we got now. So think about it. You just voted against the people once again. In regards to the lawyer with the Open Meeting Act, when somebody comes up here and says, well, there's no violation, well, he's asking the lawyer, why are we here? No one broke the law. Well, I don't think the lawyer would say there was a case if he didn't think that was the problem, because he's supposed to be representing the people. I know you guys couldn't answer that, but I've been to all the meetings and I've been listening. I listen, I hear what the lawyers say. It's all there. Go back and watch the films. It was all discussed here. The answers were given. So, I mean, the problem is it's the misinformation page. It's let's listen to Chris Rapota's misinformation page instead of our attorney. I'm sorry. I don't want to, listen, I worked with you, Chris, but it's wrong. It's all misinformation. And you're wrong for suing the township. I'll take his advice. Thank you.
Yeah, Jim?
Never sound excited to say my name, Greg. So,
I'm always excited.
it's interesting, this whole misinformation thing. He says he comes and listens to these meetings. I quoted the attorney. I have no idea how that gets interpreted as misinformation. And I noticed none of you asked him my questions, so I stand here today after, 4 or 5 months? And no one, this attorney, the other attorney, who likes to talk about Facebook and cell phones, no one has quoted me a law, an ethic, a bylaw. In fact, he has said, go watch the January 7th meeting. It's not coming from me, it's coming from him, and you listen so well. Watch it for yourself. And he says, I cannot tell you a law that has been violated. That's not my words. That's not misinformation. I come prepared. I watch the videos. I write down what's said. So I appreciate all his knowledge, but I think he needs to get checked. But as far as your solution to quoting the public, I really think you need to rethink that. Because what I gleaned, when you say we don't use quotation marks, that's not an out. When you say on there, Jim Combs said, and then you carry on with 3 sentences that I never said, you can ask your attorney, when you put that in writing, that's libel. That is libel. You didn't even quote one word that I said. So you can't back out of that and say we didn't put quotes around it. No, you said that I said that. And then now your solution is we're just going to say whether you're for or against it. How do you know if I'm for or against? When I come up here, I'm usually posing a question. So when I asked about the fund balance, the fund surplus back at the budget meeting, totally misquoted, I just said, what is it? Where does it come from? How do you have all this money sitting here? That's a question. And you take that and interpret it, Jim Combs is protesting the budget. Jim Combs is against the budget. That's not true. You're setting yourself up. You're going to continue to paint this picture about me that's not true. How can a question tell you whether I'm for or against the whole budget? That is so unprepared, so unprofessional. And I appreciate your question. I love these policemen back here. I support them. But I think it's a good question to ask. If I'm already paying taxes to Livingston County for the police, it's worth me looking into going, why do I have to pay them again to actually show up? Now, maybe you have a contract with him. He's just posing a question. It's not this battle. And as far as Chris goes, you stand me up here, I don't care if anybody likes me or not. You stand me up here and say, Jim, we're going to accuse you of malfeasance and misfeasance without quoting me a law. I'm going to do the same thing as him. So would everyone in this room. And I would actually sue you for my legal fees as well. So, but I did notice that no one asked my questions that I asked. I don't know if you don't want to know the answer, or you don't want him put on the spot, but it's been 4.5 months and no information, no loss, nothing. So good luck.
That's good, Jim. Thank you.
Mike Amberg, 11400 Foley Road. The one thing I forgot to ask, I have one more question. When can I expect a response from my questions? What's the best way to follow up? Excuse me? Because some of them seem to be easy, some of them a little more complicated. My questions, if you want me to remind,
You can get a hold of me.
okay.
Give me a call.
Is it possible to get the question about the legal costs tonight? Is there something that we keep, okay,
You can
okay, appreciate it, thank
I
you.
want to make sure I have
I understand? Yep,
all the legitimate information in front of me. Okay?
appreciate it, yep, thank
And
you.
I want to make sure I understand your question.
Yeah, yeah, by all means, I'll give you a call.
All right. Yeah, Jeanette?
Jeanette Lopetta, Tyrone Township resident. I apologize for laughing. I honestly thought he was being funny. I did, because it's been the question that we've asked so many times. And, you know, you just chuckled about something too, so.
I did because how many times have I said,
Right,
call me,
yeah, I know, but,
come in?
sure, and as
See me.
residents, how many times have we said, let's hear the answer because we all want to know, right? Rather than going to someone's office and hearing an answer, so. So as far as the Livingston County deputy thing, I'm shocked. What would be so terrible about finding out exactly what we're paying for? That you all voted no? You don't want to find that out and tell the people? That was a great question. We should know exactly what we're paying for. We've got 2 deputies sitting back here, and I appreciate them also, but they're sitting here, 2 deputies times how many hours, times every other week? And we got stuff that's happening on Hogan Road? So I want to know what those answers are. I want to know exactly what we're paying for, and I want to know how it compares.
Use the microphone, please.
I want to know exactly how it compares to what the other townships are paying. So I guess I'm going to have to FOIA that, or are we going to get a report from you guys? And I guess I'll come and ask you that, Greg.
Yeah, I have it down. I am going to talk with Mike Murphy.
Okay.
And I'm also going to find out when we first implemented this.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
why, how far the voters voted for it,
Mm-hmm.
and how.
Wonderful. And I hope in that, I hope that we have documentation that shows the actual receipts. I do want you all to know that I also have called Livingston County Sheriff Department and tried to get help. I have a young woman that I know, if anyone cares to look at me when I'm speaking, a young woman with children who called for help because someone was harassing her and knocking at her door, trying to break it down, and they would not come out. Okay? I had to call and I was told that they don't work for me, they work for you guys. I had to call the state. So maybe we should look at what we're paying for exactly and find out how much that's costing, and again, compare it to the other townships. I think it's a great idea. And again, I will reiterate, I want my comment removed from those meeting minutes. So do what you need to do to bring them back up to get them approved, or I'll take it further. Okay,
All right,
done.
thank you, Jeanette. Any other comments? Sure thing, Kurt.
Kurt Schultz, Silver Lake Estates number 2. I'm amazed again that someone is suing the township. That's us, the residents. And you got 2 supporters up here. One who sat there tonight and voted against hiring an attorney to defend us, another one who's involved in the suit and should have recused himself, and somebody else. What the hell are you thinking? You who sat there and said, the township has got to get what they deserve. Well, we don't deserve you. Or you, or you. We don't deserve this. This could cost us $100,000. And Chuck probably knows that better than anybody. We have the best attorney in the state that's going to defend us, and that's John Gillooly, on a suit that you can't win. You conspired with two other people to act as on behalf of the board to try to remove the township planning commission members. Yeah, that's what you did wrong. We don't have to put up with this. You can't hoodwink the voters all the time. You come by with your transparency stuff and act like you're some kind of prophet over here in the corner, when all you've done is cause damage to the township, and we're going to pay for it. All of us are. And that's unfortunate, because the township was in good shape, and now it's going to be turned into nothing but taking depositions, answering questionnaires, doing court proceedings that could easily hit $100,000. I've hired a lot of attorneys in my life. I know exactly what I'm talking about. And I've also been on suits with Chuck over here for the township. You have no idea what you're going to get into. And you were doing this just for personal gain out of it. Well, I hope you like the recall petition we're going to get together, because we'll see you in November. Or maybe we won't see you after November. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? All right. Before I adjourn, I would just like to share with everyone, including the video audience, that there's a lot of inaccurate township information being shared. And it's not just social media, which is a big part of it, but even the newspaper doesn't always get stuff exactly right. The radio, remember they had that all screwed up on whether we hired Frank. Yeah. It's like, so even the radio, they just don't always get all the information correctly. And then, of course, there's the people-to-people conversations. And so what I'm asking you is that if you have a question, if you need some factual information, just come in quiet. Hey, Kurt, I'm talking. Just if you require some factual information, call me and come and see me. I don't pretend to know everything, nor will I ever know everything. But I have made a career out of finding out who does. And so I'm not afraid to tell you, hey, I don't know, but let me try to find out. But to be sharing inaccurate information around, it's not healthy. And that's all I got to say. Give me a call, man. I'm the supervisor. I have access to pretty much everything regarding the township. So, you got a question? All right. Meeting adjourned.
Probably have a motion.
We have this motion.
Oh, I have a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourn.
I'm like, what is he doing? Gosh, I need to get out soon.
The township board never said that they use Robert's rules. They actually
reference them.
reference them, but it's never been official.
Jennifer didn't say, you know,
Hey.
I didn't say we did it here.
I'll play it back.
We never adopted. That's right.
Well, they were never officially adopted.
Okay. So when am I needs to be dealt with, and when are you going to address the student
Regarding the,
regarding Pam and regarding her? Did you read those yet? I read them tonight because I'm going
works best for your schedule. I'm usually here. I gotta go to the office. 5. Yeah, right on Foley Road there.
Yep.